Well, good morning, everyone. Once again, welcome to another live here this morning. Hope you're having a great start to your day. I'm waiting for a few folks to come on and get their notices here this morning. A couple of stories I want to talk about this morning. How is you? Kevin, numero uno. Nativity, good morning. Francis Marie, how are you? Jen, Cape Breton, Rosa, and Charlotte, good morning. Mary, Nick from our staff, John, Elgin, Illinois, Sandra from Aurelia, Bill, how are you? And Julie, Bowmanville, Ontario. Chantal, Ottawa. Hey, Doc. Dr. Bennett on with us this morning from Newfoundland. Jeanette, Fran from Orangeville. Fran, good morning. And Jeanette from our staff, good morning. Flo, Corona, and another Fran, Georgie, Halifax, Wendy, Markham, Jeanette, Margaret, Chantal, how are you? Jan, and Jeanette from Kapuskasing, and Zian, Ottawa, Anne, good morning, Moncton, New Brunswick, and Marilyn from Edmonton, Gary, good morning from, I don't know where you're from, Gary, Chantal, Sudbury, Yolande, bonjour, the Valley, Michael, Norland, Bruno, Quebec. You guys are great. Barbara from Atlanta, Helga, Veronica, good morning. And Mara, how is you? Luella and Sue, good morning. We appreciate you guys. Renee, how are you? Okay. She wants me to help her stop eating the Rice Krispie squares. Lillian and Marlene, you get bonjour. Rita, Linda, St. Jude, Quebec. Mary, guys, have I told you lately that I love you? Have I? Diane and Jeanette. Good. Thanks, guys. Okay, let's talk about a couple of things this morning. Remember yesterday I was talking to you about it's about 8 or 10 companies that have taken over nutrition. And I don't know if I mentioned this yesterday or not, okay? I can't remember if I mentioned this in the program yesterday, but it's okay. They've taken over the middle aisles of the grocery store. Like thousands and thousands of products, but they're all owned by a small number of conglomerates. Like these are huge companies. Now, the other thing, and like I said, I don't remember if I told you this or not yesterday, but I was looking into it. There was actually a study done that how much they've influenced nutrition. So it's not only, and let me just give you again those overarching principles, okay? It's unfortunate, but that's what's happened today. Number one, big pharma, I mean, they do some good things, okay? Please. But they've taken over medicine because they pay for all their education and they pay for their seminars and postgraduate work that the doctors need to keep up their registration. They sponsor everything. So they influence teaching in the medical schools, big time. And number two, the big conglomerates in the food industry, they do all the teaching and influence the dietitians, nutritionists. They get their teaching from these big companies. Now, I think I did this, who knows, maybe even a year ago. I talked to you about Philip Morris, okay? And Philip Morris, do you remember that? It was a tobacco company that, they made a couple of different brands of cigarettes, but they made the Marlboro cigarette, okay? Marlboro cigarettes, the number one selling cigarettes, at least they used to be, in the United States, okay? And Philip Morris owned that company. Well, you know what happened to tobacco. You know, people still smoke today, but generally, people got the memo about smoking. Smoking's no good for you. The tobacco companies got caught. They lied and people died. What did they do? They said, well, tobacco's not addictive. And they knew it was, and they doubled down on it. Okay? And that's history, guys. That's recorded history. And the tobacco companies, nobody went to jail, but they sure got fined. Well, whoopee-doopie. It hardly put a dent in their finances. But anyway, people got the memo about smoking. So you know what the tobacco industry did? Like Philip Morris? They went in and they bought General Foods. And they bought Kraft. And so when you go in the middle aisles of your grocery store, from cereals to cookies to whatever, in the middle aisles of your grocery store, think of the tobacco industry. What do I mean by that? Well, think of addiction. And of course, they coined the phrase moderation. And look at this food, okay? And I talked to you about it yesterday. I brought out 2 eggs and a can of Coke. Like, in the nutritionist's mind, well, you know what? 2 eggs, maybe 2 eggs a week. Be very careful. Got bad fat. It's got cholesterol. It's not good for you. Don't eat the yolk. Whatever you do. And limit your eggs. Even today, I read an article last week. It's surprising my head didn't explode. Here we are in 2022, and they're still talking about the boogeyman, cholesterol. They're still talking about, you know what, you need to limit your eggs. But you can have as much cereal as you want, because it's so good for you. Tony the Tiger is a liar. You got it? And it's interesting, though, that if you follow the money, Philip Morris is alive and well today, owning a huge market share of food. And they're into the addiction business. My name is Tony, and I'm a carbaholic. Go back 100 years. Okay? Go back 100 years. Were people carbaholics? Nah. They weren't. And today, just use your eyeballs that God's given you. Observe the population. What do you see? Diabesity. It's I always said kids, they don't have a chance. Kids don't have a chance today because they're being taught And it's just part of their lifestyle. The food companies are addicting children. Now, they already got the adults, and they're addicting children. They spend their time going after kids because they want another generation of people that they can hook. So what do we got? What do we got? Do we have a healthcare system? No, we got a disease care system. And doctors, okay, what are they today? They're firefighters. Doctors are firefighters. Because that's what they do. They spend their time putting out fires. But they don't know much really about prevention. They to them, the biggest example of that, guys, I sort of called the world a petri dish. You know what a petri dish is for? You can do experiments in there, right? And the world was sort of a petri dish the last couple of years, okay? And what did we see? We saw medicine, and look, God loved them, but you saw it when you got a virus that was a pandemic around the world. All they could talk about was, let's kill that virus, let's kill that virus, kill the virus, kill the virus, kill the virus, God, way to stop it, ground zero, stop the virus. And what was I yelling at everybody? What was I saying? What about the immune system? What about vitamin D? What about food? What about getting rid of sugar in our diets? What about that? But doctors are firemen. You got a fire, let's put it out. It's not getting at the root issue. What caused the fire? And guys, that's where, if you understand the background of things, you understand the way the world operates, as an individual, they don't care about you too much. They really don't. And, for you guys, that's why I always say it. I repeat it. One needs to start at home. Meaning you need to start, you need to understand, you need to take care of your body. You do. Now, to the extent that you can influence other people around you, well, good for you. Okay? Good for you, and I mean that. But at the end of the day, health starts at home. For me, I've been preaching this for so long, I get tired of listening to myself. But you know what? I got to discipline myself every day. I love to eat, friend. I do. Okay? I married an Italian. How do you like that? 50 years ago. And I love eating. I got to discipline myself. Because I'm not going to be much good if I don't have my health. Right? Okay. So, I just had to sort of follow up on the story yesterday, because I'd sort of forgotten about Philip Morris and how things operate and what they do, and they're big conglomerates, and they influence the education in big pharma, influences the education in medical school, and big food influences the nutrition side of it. They sort of own the gurus in nutrition, just about. All the teaching, especially at the university level. It's all the same. It's still, calorie. Remember, we talked about calories, and it's still about limited, cholesterol and limited meat and limited eggs and limited cheese, all those things. That's saturated fat. Did you know that? And they make out these bad guys and these boogeymen, and the world goes for it. Well, it must be true, and we have a whole area that I talk about just about every day, a whole area of medicine and cardiologists, and God bless them if you have a heart attack. But remember, they're the firemen. Every time they talk about prevention, they got it wrong. Cardiologists, they got it wrong. Why? Because they don't know anything about nutrition or food. And if you got a heart attack, you don't want to come and see me. Go see the firemen to put out the fire. But to them, they got cholesterol wrong. Think about this. The number one revenue of all time in the pharmaceutical industry was based on a false premise. The number one, the one that made the most money in the history of medicine, Lipitor, was based on a faulty premise. Wow. Like, guys, I don't know if that shocks you or not. It shocks me. Getting rich big time. And guys, I've been John the Baptist for almost 50 years. Cholesterol? You want cholesterol. You need cholesterol. You want to die young? Then have low cholesterol. What do you want low cholesterol for? You want high cholesterol. But cardiologists got that wrong. They got fat wrong. What? Besides cholesterol, they got fat wrong. They told you not to eat butter, but to eat margarine. The cardiologists got behind that. Yeah. You know what? That's a good idea. Let's get away from butter. You don't want to be eating butter. Butter's got fat. Bad fat. It's saturated. And they wanted you to eat margarine. Well, I was wrong. You can run a jumbo jet on margarine. Remember? You can run a jumbo jet on it. You can run your car, just liquefy it. Put it in your put it in your oil, I guess. Hey, but they ran that jumbo jet on vegetable oils. So-called vegetables, my word. They got salt wrong. Imagine. Oh yeah, but salt, it's going to increase your blood pressure. Imagine that. That's not true. Sugar. They blamed salt for what sugar did. And all these people walking around, and if you went, especially my generation and my parents' generation, better watch salt, man. Salt ain't good for you. Salt's not good for you. Hey, man, you cry salt. Your blood's full of salt. You need salt. And they got that wrong too. Right? They got the oils wrong. They got cholesterol wrong. They got it all wrong. So they're good firemen, but they sure aren't good at prevention. You know? They're not good at preventing because they got it wrong. I was reading a study yesterday on vitamin K2. Now, you guys know me and K2. I love that vitamin because it's an important vitamin. Vitamin K2 is very, very, very important. You know, the Rodney Dangerfield of vitamins. It doesn't get a lot of respect because, again, people don't understand it. First of all, they mix up K1 and K2. Okay? They mix it up. K1 and K2 are put in the same category. Well, first of all, vitamin K2 is a fat-soluble vitamin. And vitamin K2, and this is the reason, another reason that it doesn't get a lot of ink. It really is only found in the animal kingdom. When you eat butter, you get K2. High source. When you eat steak, you get K2. Very high source. When you eat cheese, especially cheese curds, you get K2. So you don't hear me talking so much about, supplementing with K2. Now, we put vitamin K2 in with our vitamin D. There's a reason for that. Okay? But what do I want you to do? I want you to eat your K2. Eat it. If you know vegetarians or vegans, would you give them the memo? Say, Dr. Martin wants to give you a little love letter. Here's a little note. Please, would you take K2 as a supplement? Because you're not getting it in your food. Vitamin K2 is in the animal kingdom alone. It's not in salad. That's K1. K2. It's one of the, and cardiologists get this wrong. They're worried. Vitamin K, you better not take that. It's fat soluble. You're going to get sick for taking vitamin K2. And they don't even think about where it comes from in food. Eggs, cheese, butter, meat, especially red meat. Highest source of K2 is in red meat when it comes to meat. That's why I love butter. It's why I love cheese. Because people ask me, well, Doc, you're not really the carnivore diet. No, I'm not. I'm a nutrivore. I'm on the nutrivore diet. What's that? Well, I'm not carnivore. I'm a cheese guy. Big time. Because I know the vitamins that are in there. Okay? I'm a nutrivore. You want all your nutrients. All of them. You want to eat nutrient-dense food. And if you do that, that will really help you not to have to go see the fireman. And they get it all wrong. And K2, I was reading that study and it confirmed the importance of vitamin K2 because it's a decalcifier. You know what atherosclerosis is? Hardening of your arteries. Okay? Hardening of the arteries. Vitamin K2. Imagine you're eating cheese, okay? Let's follow cheese. very low carb, if any, full of fat, and full of protein. So let's follow cheese, okay? So you're getting your calcium. Everybody knows that. Even mice like cheese. Why? Because they like, I guess they need calcium. But what I'm saying is, guys, when you're eating that, what your body, it's so beautiful that God gave you cheese. Why? Because when you eat it, and butter, and meat, and eggs, when you eat it, they're perfect foods because when you eat it, you're getting calcium. You need calcium. But you need calcium to be delivered. You know, you don't want to leave calcium where it doesn't belong. Calcium doesn't belong in the bloodstream. It comes in the bloodstream, but you want calcium to be delivered. And that's what vitamin K2 does. That's why it's so good for your heart, because it decalcifies your blood vessels. Your blood vessels don't need calcium. They need a little bit. They don't. Your bones need calcium. Okay? Your teeth need calcium. You need calcium. Your cells need calcium. But you better get it delivered out of your bloodstream. That's why vitamin K2. But cardiologists, they don't even think about that. They wouldn't even think for a minute about vitamin K2 and how good that is for your heart. Because it decalcifies. It's Amazon. It delivers to your door. You know, like it actually takes that calcium that you're eating. Isn't that the way it's supposed to be? Isn't that the way it's supposed to be when you think about that? But these big food companies, you know, what do I say? Medicine doesn't know anything about nutrition, and the food companies don't care about food. They don't care about your health. They care about food, but they don't care about your health. They really don't. They don't care about your health. Philip Morris, do you think do you think that company cared that smoking was killing people? I mean, folks, millions and millions of people died from smoking. Agree or disagree with me? They still die from smoking. But they hid their research. They hid the fact that they were using something that would hook you. Addictive. Tobacco. They knew exactly what they were doing. And the food industry, they have scientists who are there for taste, for exactly the way crunch, the sweet spot of taste. They want to hook you. And it's good to know that, isn't it? It's good to know that. Kids don't even know that. They're fair game for the food industry. They're fair game. And to them, I don't know how, you know, when they, you know, they put out these sugary cereals and sugary juices and sugary everything, I don't know how they sleep at night. Anywho. Okay, I just had to spout off a little bit this morning. I'm sorry. Well, not really. Okay? Not really. There's a few other good studies we'll talk about tomorrow that I want to bring to you. And Friday is question and answer Friday, so make sure you get your questions in. Okay? We appreciate those. And I'm going to have an announcement about our book. I'm just about done. So we'll try and have some kind of a launch date. But, you know, if we get it out before Christmas, it will be a minor miracle. That's not up to me, by the way. That's up to the publisher, whether they can get it done or not. Okay? Anywho, guys, coming to a theater near you. Okay? So, guys, we love you dearly, and we'll talk to you soon.